Hey guys, it's Chaos Chrono back with the second deck from my Dark Tidings display. I had opened this previously as well, just to get some gameplay in, and hadn't gone to reviewing the deck and rating it. So the deck has been sleeved, and I'll keep it in its current condition, but I'll review it the same way I reviewed every other deck. So without further ado, let's get this set up. The second deck I opened was this one, the Fell-Handed Heaven Cantor. It's an Unfathomable, Starlights, and Logos deck. Solid 3 houses, and it's a purple icon. So I'll get this set up and we can look through the cards. Starting with Unfathomable, we have Rakazel's Chant. It's an action, amber whenever you play it. Exhaust a creature. If the tide is high, exhaust each creature instead. Maelstrom. It's an action. Put each creature on top of its owner's deck in a random order. Gain 2 chains. 2 copies of Maelstrom. Horrid Sign-In, 4-power creature with poison. Hookmaster, 4-power 1-armor creature with fight. If the tide is high, your opponent loses 2 amber. 2 copies and 3 copies. Guiltspine Netcaster, 2-power creature that enhances 2 capture icons into the deck. With Reap, exhaust a creature. Flamegill Enforcer, it's a 6-power creature. After opponent raises the tide, enrage Flamegill Enforcer, and he has an action, capture 3 amber. Brain Drain, it's an action, amber whenever you play it. Look at your opponent's hand, choose a card from it, and put it on top of their deck. Abandoned Ship, another action, amber whenever you play it. Return a creature to its owner's hand. If the tide is high, return 4 creatures to their owner's hands instead. Flash Freeze, amber whenever you play it. It's an action for the remainder of the turn. After you play another card, exhaust a creature. That's it for Unfathomable. Next is Starlights. We have Shield You Later, it's a 3-power 2-armor creature. Shield You Later may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature. With the text, this creature gains +2 armor. Lieutenant Valmart, 3-power creature with play fight reap. If the tide is high, keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. Amberback, it's an upgrade. When you play it, raise the tide, and the creature you play it on gains at the start of your turn. If the tide is high, capture 2 amber. Xeno Training, amber whenever you play it. For each house represented among friendly creatures, a friendly creature captures 1 amber. Universal Translator, amber whenever you play it. This creature gains Fight Reap. Use a friendly non-Star Alliance creature. Together, it's an action. You may play a non-Star Alliance card. If the tide is high, you may play another non-Star Alliance card. Selective Preservation. It's an action. Choose a creature of each power value. Destroy each creature not chosen. 2 copies of that. Sabotage Mission. It's an action, amber whenever you play it. Keys cost +1 for each different power value among friendly creatures during your opponent's next turn. Force Field. It's an upgrade, amber whenever you play it. This creature gains Reap, ward this creature. Away Team, it's a 5-power creature with Destroyed. Put each upgrade on Away Team into its owner's archive. Captain Valjericho, 5-power creature with 1 armor. While Captain Valjericho is in the center of your battle line, you may play 1 card that is not of the active house during your turn. Awesome. Moving on to Logos, we have Submersive Principle. It's an action. Each player loses 1 amber. If the tide is high, each player loses half their amber instead, rounding down the loss. Science. It's an action for the remainder of the turn. After you play another action card, gain 1 amber. 2 copies of Science. P.I. Suiven, the 2-power creature with Reap. If the tide is high, draw 3 cards. Edie, 4x4, it's a 3-power creature with play, archive a card. Your opponent's keys cost +1 for each card in your archives. 2 copies of Edie. Armor Drone, enhanced with the capture icon. 1 power 3 armor creature with fight, steal 1 amber. Positron Bolt, amber whenever you play it, it's an action. Deal 3 damage to a flank creature, deal 2 damage to its neighbor, and deal 1 damage to the second creature's other neighbor. Nova Archaeologist, it's a 4 power creature with action. Archive a card from your discard pile. Brain Eater, 6 power creature. After an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Brain Eater, draw a card. Bouncing Death Cork, enhanced with a capture icon. Destroy an enemy creature and a friendly creature. You may repeat this effect as many times as you like, as long as it's possible to repeat the entire effect. And I think it's the last card, Binary Moray. It's a 5 power creature. After you raise the tide, ready Binary Moray. After your opponent raises the tide, exhaust Binary Moray. And it has Reap, archive a card. Yep, that was the last card of the deck. Let's get this organized and see what each category has. Alright, starting with Amber Generation, we have 9 pips of Amber on cards that don't provide additional Amber gains, and 2 copies of Science. All in all, that gives me a total of about 11 at the base, potentially more depending on how Science performs. Overall, this is pretty low for Amber Generation. We'll see how the other stats go. Alright, sorry for the glare. Moving on to Amber Control, we have 9 cards that directly impact the opponent's Amber pool. We also have Key Cost Control with the Sabotage Mission, Lieutenant Valmart, and 2 copies of Edie. So overall, Amber Control is pretty good, giving a 1 point value for each card. I'll estimate at 13 for Amber Control. I'll also mention there was no Artifact Control in this deck. Alright, for Creature Control, we have 9 cards once again that directly can remove creatures or exhaust them just from playing the card. And we have 17 creatures in this deck. 6 in Unfathomable, 4 in Starlights, and 7 in Logos. All in all, that's an average creature count, but pretty solid card count for removal and just board management. So overall, I'm going to rate the Creature Control at about a 12. Alright, for speed, we have 7 cards that directly impact that, either through the way of playing cards, archiving a card, or allowing you to discard. Next to it, we have the Nova Archaeologist and the Universal Translator. That's more for efficiency's sake, just because Novu, then you have to action it, which doesn't let you gain the Amber, versus the Binary Moray, which has the Reap and Archive a Card function, so you still get that Amber and get to archive. Below we have Brain Drain, which is good for disruption. There's also several cards that also provide disruption through exhausting your opponent's creatures, and many of them are in Unfathomable. The 2 copies of Maelstrom do give you chains, so that's a bit of a negative in terms of speed and efficiency. And lastly, I put the Ambervac aside because that's the only card in this deck that affects the tide. It's the only way you can raise it for free without paying the 3 chains. So for overall speed, I'm looking at about an 8, not including the chains. For the highlights of this deck, in Unfathomable, we have the 4 cards up top that really exhaust creatures and create that disruption for your opponent. The Abandoned Ship can really clog up their hand, affecting their future turns, and I think that's one of the factors of Dark Tidings itself as a set that might be important in terms of inter-set play. The double Maelstrom is a main part of the board control in this deck. In Star Alliance, we have Captain Valjerico together and Universal Translator as key parts to help you house cheat, to either allow you to pay more cards or to use them. We also have 2 copies of Selective Preservation, again an important board control. So having different power creatures on the board is going to be very important to maintaining your control over the board, especially if those numbers match up with your opponent. From just looking at what's on the board right now, we do see numbers 1 through 6 are covered by the creature power in this deck, so there's a bit of everything. The multiples do hurt us in terms of using Selective Preservation, but it's not too bad. The main one is number 4. power that's going to affect us the most. Lastly, in logos, we have the 2 copies of Edie, which are very nice. We have additional archiving with Binary Moray and the Novo Archaeologist. Below we have the 2 copies of Science, and altogether 5 actions in logos. So the most you could gain is, if you had both copies of Science, is 7 Amber, which is pretty nice for the burst potential. All in all, the Amber generation is really low in this deck, so we're going to need to have that board to reap for us to generate that Amber. There is a lot of control, however, a lot of it is creature based, so unless they survive the fight, there's not as much Amber control in this deck. The cost control will come in handy, especially on the turns where you can't stop them forging a key, but you can at least burn their entire stockpile. So yeah, overall this deck does feel okay to play. It is on the slower end. The speed in this deck exists but isn't very strong, so overall it feels like a slower style of play. It has a lot of board control, which is good. However, I think this will fall short against any race decks, just because it can't necessarily keep up with the opponent's Amber gains. And the style of control is either in capture, key cost, or by making the opponent lose the Amber. Stealing, there is one card, just Armor Drone, but if you're up against a bigger body, then that's going to be a bit of a problem. All in all, I'm going to rate this deck at a 68 as well. But we'll see it with more playtime if that's the case. That wraps it up for this deck. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. I do stream on Twitch as well, either some AOA deck unboxings, or anytime I have bulk product I want to open in one go. It'll be on stream, or I'll be streaming gameplay. So keep your eyes and ears open for that, as I generally notify on Facebook. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, be kind and happy forging.